A common pattern in mobile applications is to display a list of data, and then for each item in the list to display detailed information with one field value per line. So you can see here I have a list on the left that's got some data from the customer table in Northwind, and when I tap on each row, you can see that the data in the left hand side basically is filled in with all of the field values filled in from that current row. So let's go and take a look at how this was done. So you can see in design mode here that we have a panel layout with two panel cards inside it, panel card number 1 and panel card number 2, and the panel layout is flowing from left to right. If we were to go, for example, and change it from top to bottom, then the first list would be on top of the second list over there. So basically maybe it would make more sense in a smaller phone application there. So so let's go back now to iPad vertical and then switch this back to left to right. So we have our two lists. The first list is in panel card 1. This list has been set to fill the container, and then the second list, which displays the detail, is also set to fill the container, and it's in panel card 2. So again, just quickly to preview, there's list number 2 right now, but it's empty because we don't have any row with focus in the first list. But as soon as we click on a row here, you can see that this list over here gets populated. So going back now to the first list, we can see that we've just got some static data over here where we've pulled sample data, we've pulled this name and address data. This just happens to be a static view of the customer table in Northwind. So even though we've populated the list with all of these columns over there, we're only displaying a customer ID and company name. And then what we've done is we've gone to the lists on select event, and we're basically going to call a JavaScript function that we wrote. So we'll take a look at the definition of this function right now. But when we call this function, we're going to pass in the data from the current row. So this dot selection data, you can see here in the more help, this dot selection data of 0 is an object that contains field values for all the data in the current row. So basically we're passing into our JavaScript function this object that has data for the current row. So now when we go to list number 2, the detail view list, we can see that this list is also based on static data, and there are two columns of data. There's a column called field name and a column called field value, and currently we've got nothing in the list itself. So the list itself is empty, and then for the list layout we've chosen a freeform layout, and then we've gone here and chosen one of the templates to display the data in the form that we want. Let's actually go back temporarily here to Columnar, so you can see now I've got basically the field value in the first, the field name in the first column, and then the field value in the second column. And then what I've done over here is put bold tags around the field value. So what I could also actually do here is turn off list columns. So there's a property somewhere over here that allows me to turn off the list columns. So here we'll go and we'll turn off show column titles, and now when we go over it into preview mode, we can see that there's our list there. But by switching to the freeform layout, we can put the disclosure icon onto the list very easily. So let's pause now and then come back and take a look at the JavaScript that executes when we click on each row in the list. So we're continuing our video now showing how the list on the right hand side is populated dynamically when you select a row in the list on the left hand side. So let's go back to design mode right now, and as mentioned earlier, when we click on a row in this list on the left, we're going to call the populate detail list function. So first make a note of the ID of the detail list. It's called list detail. So now let's go to our JavaScript functions and here's our function called populate list data. It takes as an input data. So we're going to start out by creating an array called ARR. So this is just an empty array, and then we're going to loop over every property inside this data object, and we're going to push onto this array an object that has two properties, one called field name and one called field value. Now recall earlier that field name and field value are the field names for the data that is displayed in this list. There's field name and there's field value over there. So what we're going to do in this JavaScript function over here is loop over all of the properties in the data object, and then create an array that has one row for each field in the data object. So, and this array is going to have a field name and a field value property. Then we're going to go ahead now and get a pointer to the detail list, and then we're going to just simply call the populate method to populate that list. So when we go now to working preview and we click on a row, this list on the right hand side gets populated, but you can see that it gets populated with every single field that's in the list on the left. So that's going to include this field over here called key, which is an internal system field. So let's go back now and modify the function so that we can choose which columns of data from the list on the left are used in the list on the right. So now we're going to go, I'm going to go here and comment out this code block over here and comment in this code block over here. So you can see now what I'm doing is I've created a variable called fields, which has the fields from the column from the list on the left that I want to use to populate. So here's my full list of fields that I want to use. Then I take that fields string and turn it into an array by splitting on the pipe column. So now I've got an array of fields that has one row in the array for each field in this list over here, and then my loop here loops over all the entries in the array and creates the object. So we can actually see it operating more visually by setting a shorter list of fields. So let's go there now, and now we're going to just see 3 fields on the left. Now if we go back here and comment out that line, now when we go and click on the row on item on the left, we can see all of the fields are filled in over there, but none of the unnecessary fields, the unwanted fields like the star key. So now let's go back to the list on the left, the detail list, and change it from a columnar layout to a freeform layout. And then here's our freeform layout, which we chose from one of the predefined templates. I think we ended up choosing this one and then making some modifications to it. So let's go now to working preview, and now when we click on a row there, we can see that our list is displayed like that. Now you can easily take this a little bit further. For example, you might, instead of having this in a panel layout, you might put this in a panel navigator, so that panel card 1 is displayed by itself, and then when you click on the row in list number 1, not only would the code here execute to populate the detail list, but it would also set focus to the panel card that contained this list. So you can take this concept quite a lot further very easily, and then when you click on a row in the detail list, that could bring up another panel where you might edit the value in the row. So this technique is a powerful technique and models a pattern that you see in lots of mobile apps. Thanks very much for watching.